Wii Sports Resort is my favorite video game. I have tons of nostalgia from playing it with my brothers at my grandma's house growing up, but on top of that, it still holds up today. The Woohoo Island location is super charming, and the sport mini-games, while simple, are a ton of fun. But which one is the best? Let's start the tier list. Swordplay Duel is the face of Wii Sports Resort. It's the classic game mode. You and an opponent square off on a platform and whack each other until somebody falls 50 feet into the water and suffers serious injuries because hitting water at those speeds is like hitting concrete. It's a super solid minigame. You have to time your reflexes to outthink your opponent and block their attacks, and the skill ceiling is fairly high. S tier. It's solid climbing the ranks in single player, but it's best when you and a friend or sibling are duking it out together. The original Wii Sports had its 5 main sports, but on top of that, each main sport had a few training modes. Speed Slice is one of the sports that most obviously began as a training mode. In it, various oversized objects are thrown at you, and you must slice them in the correct direction before your opponent does. B tier. It's fine training for breaking opponents' blocks in Duel, but the pure reflex gameplay is pretty simplistic. And Swordplay Showdown is probably the reason why Wii Sports Resort's modes aren't split into main and training. There would just be no fair way to relegate either Duel or Showdown into training. Anyway, this mode is awesome. You try to sword fight your way through a massive horde of enemies. It's super satisfying to mow down crowds of weak green-armored Miis, and it can be a serious challenge to beat some of the higher-leveled foes unscathed. S tier. There's actually a fairly long campaign for a minigame, and the challenge has stayed engaging for as long as I've played this mode. Wakeboarding is a really smooth and solid arcade-style experience. You get 2 minutes to jump over the wake, do tricks, and then land with your board level on the water. When you chain together many successful jumps, you can jump higher and get more points. Others may disagree with me, but I'm calling wakeboarding an A tier. The gameplay may be simple, but it's really good. The sound design is really satisfying too. My only complaint is that I wish there were more levels besides beginner, intermediate, and expert. Frisbee TM Dog is one of those games that I'm really bad at. You throw your Frisbee TM at a target, and then your dog catches it, and you get points based on how close you were to the center. Sometimes you can get extra points for popping a balloon along the way. Anyway, this sport's kinda frustrating, since the motion plus isn't perfectly accurate, and a small error can really screw up your score. And if your stupid dog would just catch the Frisbee TM like half a second sooner... Well anyway, B tier, it's still pretty good. Full honesty here, I haven't actually played that much of Frisbee TM Golf. There's just not much of a reason to play it over regular golf or Frisbee TM Dog. It's perfectly serviceable though. C tier. The Frisbee TM throwing is just as frustrating as in Frisbee TM Dog, and it's slower. Archery is pretty much what you'd expect. Shoot the target, get points for how close you are to the center. It's a bit boring if I'm being honest. C tier. Lots of these modes might be better if 4 players could all play in split screen instead of having to wait around for each other. The only real notable thing about it is the secret fruits hidden off to the side of each target. My cousin always used to try and hit them when we were young, and I was really impatient trying to get my turn playing some other game. Basketball 3-point contest is another one of those modes that could have been training modes. You're just trying to shoot 3-pointers. I don't think the gameplay is that compelling, but it functions well enough. C tier. Maybe I'd rate it higher if I was better at it, but there's just not that much interest to the mode. Pickup game is the much better basketball mode. Try and shoot a hoop or dunk, then once the other team gets the ball, they get to have a try. There's a good variety of things you can try in this mode, whether they're shooting, dunking, blocking, or dribbling around defenders. A tier. It's a solid simplified game of basketball. And the music totally slaps. Table Tennis Versus is this game's answer to Wii Sports' tennis mode, and I think it's much better. Since the Motion Plus can detect your controller's orientation, you have much more control over the ball. A tier. It's a compelling game, if not the biggest standout in the collection. Really, the only thing that diminished table tennis in my eyes is when I got a ping pong table. There's not much of a reason to play this game when the real thing is within reach. Return Challenge is another training type mode, where you try to return as many balls as you can without missing one, and hit cans on the sides of the table for extra points. Honestly, I think this arcade type mode is more fun than the main versus mode. Still A tier though. I would love to play this in split screen instead of taking turns, but whatever. It's simple but great. Well, what did you expect? It's golf. It works well enough, but it's slow, and the motion tracking is frustratingly inaccurate. At least there's a pretty cool variety of courses to play on. C tier. Fun fact, golf wasn't originally planned to be in Wii Sports Resort, but Miyamoto announced that it was going to be there, and so the dev team had to scramble to add it. I suspect that this is why Wedge Island is separate from Woohoo Island, and why skydiving and Island Flyover were combined into air sports. 13 is a stupid number of sports to have, so when golf was added to the list, they had to combine 2 of them. Anyway, I wonder if this later edition is why golf feels a little awkward. We'll never know, I suppose. Bowling was the best mode in the original Wii Sports, and so there wasn't that much room to improve for Resort. The Motion Plus makes it a little bit better at detecting your spin, and that's about the only difference. Still though, the bowling is really solid. There are little charming things like the crowd jumping and spinning when you bowl backwards, and the music is great. A tier. Really, the only issue is that it can run a bit long, which could be better if you could play in split screen. That might make it less fun though. An important part of bowling is watching your buddy chuck a ball at 37 miles per hour directly into the gutter. The 100-pin game is an incredibly iconic mode for Wii Sports Resort. It's the main bowling mode I played as a kid. But I'm giving it a C tier. 2 reasons why. First, there are bumpers on the sides. You can't get a gutter ball without really trying. And second, no matter where you hit the pins, the domino effect almost guarantees you get 80 or more pins. There's so much less variation and basically less skill in this mode than in standard 10-pin bowling, because even though there are so many pins, it's kinda easy to get a strike. At least the music slaps. Spin control is an oft-neglected mode for some reason. Angle and spin the ball around barriers and to hit all the pins at the end. I'll call it B tier. While the mode functions perfectly and is a compelling challenge, it's maybe a bit less replayable than other modes, even if they are simpler. Definitely worth a try though. Jet skiing is another jankily controlled mode. Probably this is down to the nunchuck having worse motion sensing than the Wii mode, although archery manages just fine, probably by having less movement to detect. In any case, because of that, people often hate on jet skiing. This is, to be frank, a complete skill issue. Jet skiing is a super solid mode. You can go fast, jump through rings on the waves, even explore the waters around Woohoo Island. The gameplay is quite fun, the skill ceiling is high. People are just gonna hate on it because they are certified trash at this mode. Get good. My 9-year-old brother can manage it. Anyway, it's B tier. The controls are still jank after all. Also, I haven't been entirely honest. I called it jet skiing, the most reasonable name I could think of for this mode. But for some reason, Nintendo decided to call this mode power cruising. What the heck is that? They were willing to license the Frisbee TM trademark, why not jet ski? Well, it could be worse. They could have named it marine bike racing. Hey, one sec, before I get to canoeing, I have a really cool thing I want you to check out. See this picture? Isn't it a great desktop background? Wouldn't it make a really great t-shirt? Well, it is one. I made this pixel art, and on my Etsy, you can buy it on a shirt. Check the link in the card or in the description if you want to pick one of these things up. Well, if it isn't canoeing. If you know anything about this type of ranking, you probably know what I have to say about this sport. That's right, it's the only mode in all of Wii Sports Resort where all 4 players can play at the same time. In every other mode in the game, you either have to take turns, or 2 players can play at the same time. Well, anyway, canoeing totally sucks. D tier, it's slow and boring, and the controls don't work too well, it's too easy to paddle on the wrong side or whatever. Bleh, bleh, bleh. That's what I have to say about canoeing. Cycling Road Race is the classic cycling mode. Start in the back of 30, 60, or 100 cyclists, and pass as many as you can over 1, 3, or 6 race stages respectively. Manage your stamina, represented by 3 hearts, to achieve victory. This is a B tier mode. The basic gameplay is solid, but the nunchuck tracking is once again a little bit off, which kinda sours the whole experience. Still though, you can play in 2-player co-op on a tandem bike, which is a ton of fun, and there's a lot of charm to the mode. Also, this mode is the best music in the whole game, and potentially my favorite video game music ever. The music is dynamic, so it changes based on your gameplay, cutting back when you're low on stamina and soaring in excitement when you're about to finish. I was unsure about whether to rank Cycling Versus separately from Road Race, but here I am doing it. It's very similar to Road Race, the only difference being that there's no single-player mode and it's competitive instead of cooperative. And the music is different, but still good, even if it isn't dynamic. B tier. It's probably a tad worse than Road Race, but it's fun to compete only against your friend in the room instead of worrying about CPUs. And since Road Race is so similar, the mode doesn't really hurt for lack of a single-player mode. Foreshadowing. Oh! But this mode would be way better if you could play with up to 4 players. Cycling and power cruising versus modes are the main modes in this game that I think could use up to 4-player split screen. Or you could even do like a teams thing where you have 2 pairs on tandems going against each other. Oh well. Skydiving is another simple yet compelling arcade-style high-score chasing mode. Link up with other skydivers, then face the camera while it takes your picture. I think it's an A-tier mode. There are cool things like how if you get with 4 other divers, there's a bonus picture, and at the end you get one last bonus picture with a ton of other skydivers. Music is solid and the mode is cinematic. It could definitely stand on its own if golf wasn't here and it was the 12th sport. My only real problem with it is that, unlike wakeboarding or return challenge, you can't play with 2 to 4 players and just take turns going for a high score. It's single player only, which is kind of a weird choice. For the casual player, swordplay was undoubtedly the best sport in Wii Sports Resort. But for the game's superfans? Island Flyover is where it's at. S tier. I friggin' love this mode. It's dead simple. Fly your airplane around the island, collect information points, shoot your blaster to pop balloons. But it is so charming. To start with, Woohoo Island is a really fun location. There are tons of iconic landmarks, and the eye points all have 3 different descriptions at different times of day to show little bits of lore. And many of the locations play little bits of unique music or audio when you fly near them, including some of the best music in the game. Plus, the plane can do all sorts of unnecessary little things. It can float on the water, you can cut the engine, you can fire a flare, and if you want to spend a lot of time in this mode, you can try to collect all the eye points and pop all of the white balloons at every time of day. Island Flyover perfectly sells Woohoo Island, both as a location to connect the different sports together, and as a place I'd love to spend time. Well, that would have been a perfect place to end this video, but I haven't yet talked about one mode. Oh, Dogfight, you had so much potential. Honestly, it still works fairly well. It's B tier. The concept of turning Woohoo Island into a battle arena in which 2 players and planes can duke it out is really awesome. Unfortunately, it has some really lame issues. First, you can only play with 2 players. I would play this mode much more if I could play against bots, and it's pretty rare to have someone equally matched available. But worse than that is the problem of get more balloons. Sometimes a pickup you can fly into to get 10 more balloons will spawn somewhere on the island. This is fine as it gets players to actually get close together and have a chance to fire on each other. The problem is that the pickup appears far too frequently. Since it's so easy to get more balloons, it's rare to be able to pop all 20 of your opponent's balloons before time runs out. It kinda comes down to the luck of whom the pickup appears closest to. Tweak that and the mode gets way better. Overall, Wii Sports Resort is a great game. These rankings are really only relative to each other. A and B tier sports are still really solid modes. The C tier sports are still worth playing. If you're into this game as much as I am, make sure you check my links in the description. You can download my desktop wallpaper, order my t-shirt, or check out my piano solo version of the cycling music. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe so you can see my future stuff when it comes out.